I'm pretty sure that when the zombie apocalypse happens, many of my friends are going to survive because a lot of them don't have any brains. Hey everybody, it's Chuck, AskACapper, quadriplegic gamer, and I'm back with another tip series on surviving the zombie apocalypse. And these points are brought out from Max Brooks' book World War Z and the Zombie Survival Guide, Complete Protection from the Living Dead. And they are recommended reading if you look to survive the zombie apocalypse, which I'm sure will come. It's Sunday, though. We survived the rapture, it seems, so we're preparing for next time. And again, if you do not know these, this is just a joke. But anyway, the point being, things you want to keep in mind. One thing he talks about in these books is the classes of zombie outbreaks. There are 4 classes you want to keep an eye on it, because if you hear news reports, you want to be paying attention. And if you're in the middle of it, you want to know how widespread the outbreak is. Is it a class 1, 2, 3, or 4? Now, a class 1 or a low-level outbreak is usually 1 to 20 zombies, and it's in a confined area. And usually the human casualties will number between 1 and 50. So that's a class 1 outbreak. A class 2 is categorized as a medium-level outbreak. Usually 20 to 100 zombies will make up this class of an outbreak. And human casualties are going to be into the hundreds. So if you're in a situation where you're in a class 1 or class 2, chances are you're going to survive. Shouldn't be that much of a problem. If it's a class 1, you're going to have to pretty much go it alone, as military help on such a small level probably won't be happening. Class 2, you'll definitely be getting probably some military help, at least some logistical support, but you'll be hearing about a class 2 on the news, whereas class 1 might be so small you would really hear about it. Now, class 3 outbreak is a true crisis. That's where the zombies are numbering into the thousands, and the area affected will be hundreds of miles. And in this situation, you can expect martial law, and you can expect a strong military response. Something to keep in mind. And in that situation, the rules from my previous video about staying put and defending your house and your setup there is what you definitely want to do. And that's just a good principle no matter what class of zombie you're facing. Keeping those rules from my previous video, links on the screen. So check that out if you haven't had a chance. That's an important one. Now, a class 4 outbreak is a global outbreak. Serious problems. And he highlights in his book, you'd want to see, he has a whole section on living in an undead world where he applies principles that you're going to want to use every day of your life to survive and when you're working with your group. Some good points, and I won't go into them particularly, but yeah, definitely something you want to read or get on audiobook and listen to. So just to emphasize the need for you to always stay alert to news reports, because it's good if you're up on it and you're on top of seeing an outbreak before it actually becomes common knowledge. That way you can prepare yourself, get out of dodge, so to speak. That's important. He talks about a personal setup, and he says you want to avoid going commando. Now, of course, all of us, we've played zombies, Nazi zombies. We're like, yo, I'm going to go madhouse and just start, like, going crazy with machine guns, but not good to do. Will cause you to die. But he highlights the importance of training with your weapon, whatever your primary weapon is going to be. You want to get used to it like as an extension of your body. Field stripping it is important. Being able to do it in the dark, to know every piece and every spring of your firearm. That's an important thing to do. He also goes on to encourage you to be cautious of display weapons, swords, bows, and things like that, because a lot of times you might have something like that in your house that's merely a display weapon and it won't hold up in intense combat. And that would kind of suck if you slice through a zombie with a katana and you find that half of your katana is left in the zombie. Not a good thing. So that was a good tip that you definitely need to keep in mind. And he said the best thing you can do, the best weapon for surviving World War Z, is good condition of your body. Now, many Americans are out of shape. We're not fit. Well, we're in shape, but round's the shape we're in. That's unfortunate. Conditioning your body is important. Having that strong, reliable, that's something you need to do. And that'll help you definitely survive. He talks about close combat weapons and things of that nature, because that's something that we're going to need to be scavenging for weapons, because many of us aren't going to have a plethora of shotguns and machine guns at our disposal. But he talked about the best bludgeon weapon that you could have, and he went through a few of them, aluminum bats and different things like that. But he came down to steel crowbar. Is one of the best weapons for close quarters combat. It's just, it's weight. It can be used as a poking weapon also, and it can bludgeon zombies in the skull, like we know is important to do. For edged weapons, in this regard, he highlighted the katana is a preferred weapon of choice in sort of, close quarter but long range, close quarters for slicing. He gave that the nod as the edged weapon of choice. And he went with the machete as the weapon of choice for close quarter edged weapon, so when you're really in. And he highlighted going to a military surplus and getting a black bladed model because the shiny silver bladed model could give away position to zombies. So that's all I got to say about that. There you go. A few more tips for you. And I'll be on to part 3. Talk a few more steps that you can take, and that's all. Guys, be prepared. Please sign the custom button remapping petition. Thank you for listening to this. Game on, gamers. Peace in your crease.